Hey, hey, I think we are live.
Woohoo!
All right, all right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to part two of our discussion. I am right here with my friend Jocelyn Minerve. If you're joining live, say hi, just leave a comment. If you're watching this on a replay, just type hashtag replay and we will greet you properly. So, welcome to part two of our discussion on the pros and cons of moving to Africa versus Latin America or Latin America versus Africa. I'm your host, Linda Eno, of this channel here, Tukende Travel. And on this channel, I talk about visiting and traveling to Africa. And I'm really encouraging Black families to make the move to the continent. And today, I am so excited to have a friend here with me. Yesterday, we did part one on her channel, so go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. But today, I wanted to introduce you to my good friend, Jocelyn Minerve. So, if you want to introduce yourself, you can go ahead and do that.
Hey everyone! And I see Billy Be Kind is back for part two. So hey, Billy Be Kind.
Woohoo!
Um, so my name's Jocelyn Minerve. If you are a subscriber to my channel and watching, thanks for coming over here. If you're not, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I am actually trying to get everyone over to Latin America. I am currently in Honduras. It's myself, my three children, and my husband, and we have been living abroad in Honduras for about a year. However, I have lived abroad, traveled abroad, studied abroad in so many different parts of Latin America, including Argentina, Dominican Republic, Panama. And I'm really excited to be doing part two with my dear friend, amazing woman, Dr. Linda Eno. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course, of course. Yesterday was really fun. Really be
It
kind.
was fun.
You are so right. It was really, really fun. And we got to know each other. We got to know each other as well as you guys got to know us and our experiences moving abroad or and our projects and plans to move abroad as well for me and my family. And we're excited about today. And so we have some questions. So part one, we covered five questions, our most asked questions. And I have five more questions here for you guys. And if we're not covering any of the questions, like if you have other questions that we're not covering here, make sure to ask them in the comments. That way we can answer them as well. All right, are we ready, Jocelyn?
I'm ready.
Dun, 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 dun. Question. Is that a seven? That's a seven. Doo-doo. Question seven. So let me go and check question seven on our list. This one's a good one because
That
this
is a good
is a
one.
challenge that many people have when it comes to moving abroad. Even the fact that, even not even the fact of moving, but the decision or even the thought of moving abroad. So, how was it like for you?
Um, I don't want to put my family on blast. like, let's just say it wasn't the best reaction. I think when I told my family that I was going to go abroad, they were excited for me. Like, wow, you're gonna go live abroad. Travel the world. Like, that's gonna be such an adventure for your kids. However, when like it became more real, like me applying for jobs and talking about the move, it was harder for them because they're like, where are you gonna go? That's too far. Like they wanted to have their input in it,
Wow.
especially taking away the cousins or of my kids or
Yes.
the grandparents. So that was it. Once it became more real, it was a little bit harder. But I think what made it bad was when they found out I was going to Honduras. So
Ooh.
Honduras has a reputation of being a dangerous country, of being full of gangs and drugs, which is not. It's not the entire country, you guys. It's not. It would
Right.
be Honduras has its challenges, but it also has its challenges. Like the states has mass shootings, and the states has gangs, and the states has violence, and it's not the entire United States of America. So my family originally was very much like, oh my gosh, we don't want you to go to Honduras. It's so dangerous. We heard they're killing people. Did you hear what this one gang member did? Like, they were not
Oh
happy.
boy.
However, once I got there, now that I am in Honduras, my dad's came to visit, my stepdad,
Oh,
my
good.
mother's coming to visit, my Spellman sisters have come to visit.
What?
I'm actually here. It's like inspiring other people to take the leap. So,
Yes, yes. And something that you mentioned yesterday is that you had lived abroad even before you were married and you had kids, right? So how
yeah.
different was it for your family? How differently did they react when you were single and when you had a
when
family?
well, when I was single, like it was like they were just happy. They were just happy, and I was also in Argentina, and Argentina doesn't have that same reputation. Even though I actually did. I hope there's nobody from Argentina watching, but it was like my least favorite country. I do not recommend people of color
Oh,
to go to
wow.
Argentina at all. I
Interesting.
Yeah, I experienced a lot of racism there. Um,
Hmm.
I did not like Argentina at all. But some people
Wow.
love Argentina. But as a single person, that was different. When I didn't have the kids, when I didn't have
Yes.
a husband, it was just so much easier, I think, for my family to be supportive because they just saw, like, well, you don't have any responsibility. You're young. This is the time to do
Yeah.
it. But reality is, it's always the time to go abroad. It's always the time. It doesn't matter if you're single, you're old, kids, no kids, married, whatever. It's always the time.
Yes. It's always a good
What
time to
about
move
your
abroad. Um, same thing, very similar reactions. And to me, it's funny because I immigrated to the US from Africa, right? So for me, it was like, okay, why would you want to go back? Because you just not just got here, but you came here for school and now you have a life here, you're married and you have children. Why would you want to go
Mhm.
back? And also, so yeah, so they're a little nervous about the whole thing. So I don't mention it a lot, so we don't really have a lot of conversations about it.
Mhm.
But they know that we're planning, and but they don't necessarily know when exactly. And so
Mhm.
we told them. I told my family about the choices, either Cameroon or Cote d'Ivoire, and but my husband's family is more aware of it because it's Cameroon
Yeah.
and that's where they are, and so they're really excited about that. And it's funny because even some of them are like, really, why would you? Like, you're fine in America. Why would you want to come to Cameroon and all that? So it's a
It's
very
funny that you
interesting.
say that because my I don't know if you know this, but my husband, he's first generation from Trinidad and Tobago. And so his family,
Ah,
his mom's from Trinidad, his dad's from Tobago. They immigrated over here, so he's first generation. And for them, it's like, we came here. Why do you
yes,
want to
yeah,
leave? So we had that
yeah.
reaction from the other side of the family.
That's exactly it. Hey, Jackie, thank you for joining us. Hi, me myself. I like that. Okay, all right. So we don't have 100% on board, but we that is not stopping us
Yeah,
from
I
making
mean
the plan.
now I do. Like that's the great thing is I'm so happy I didn't listen to the people telling me not to come. And like
Yes,
out of love, like we heard this or we will miss you. That's so far away. But now
right.
that we're gone, I can say 100% of the people support our decision and they're so happy for us.
I love it. I love it. And sometimes you need to be the first person to go across the breach for other people to know that it's safe, for other people to because what would have been the chances of your family members to ever visit Honduras if it wasn't for
Never.
you living
I
there,
don't think
right?
they can
So
slim. Maybe Roatan, like on a cruise ship or something. But yeah,
right? So that you are opening the doors for them, for family, for friends. And so somebody has to be the first to do it. It's just like it was for many years ago for your husband's family to move here. And I'm sure their family was concerned and, worried and all about that, about them coming to the US. And so
exactly.
just like that. All right. Great question. Let's do another question. Uh-oh. You still here, Jocelyn? Let me do the other question. All right. Drum roll. We just did question 7. We are going to do question 10. Okay, I can add you back. Here we
Woo,
go.
okay. Sorry, you guys. I pressed the button.
It's all good. It's hot in here too in Houston. It's like
It's
90
hot
degrees.
here, y'all. Like I have my little I don't know what it's called. It's a wipey cloth because it's just hot today here in Honduras.
It's all good. Okay. Question 10 is what made you want to move to Latin America slash Africa? So what made you want to move? We touched on that a little bit yesterday, but today we can go a little deeper on. Really,
Yeah.
why not Europe? Why not? I mean, since you're speaking, why not Spain, for example,
Yeah.
or other countries in Asia and all of that? Go ahead.
For me, I always knew, if I'm being honest, it was always between Latin America or an African country. It was always that, because I needed to be around people that looked like me. Like, the African diaspora extends to the Caribbean, to Latin America, obviously Africa, but I knew I didn't want to be in Asia because I wasn't
Mm,
going to see people that looked like me. I also feel
yes.
like, me as a woman, a mature woman who has self love, that came from an early foundation. And bringing my
Wow.
children, I didn't want to bring my children to an isolated place where they're discovering who they are and learning to love themselves, but not being able to see themselves in anything. So I
Mm,
needed it to have people that looked like us. So once that was nailed down, it was honestly, it was just an easier transition. Like, I already spoke Spanish. My oldest son spoke some Spanish. I grew up in California, and in Southern California, so many Spanish speakers, usually Mexican, Dominicans, and the flight was closer. For for those people who are like, "Oh, I'm going abroad," Honduras from Atlanta is a 2-hour flight.
wow,
From
just 2 hours. I
Miami,
didn't realize that.
it might be 2.5, but it's not a 3-hour flight. I think from Miami it's like an hour and a half. Like, the flight is ridiculously short and so cheap that um it was just an easier transition. But
Yeah,
I think if you were listening in our channel yesterday, I did mention, like, we were this close to going to Dakar in
yeah.
Senegal, but
Ah,
it literally just, it was just more convenient. That was it.
yeah, yeah. I hear you. And it's we have similar reasons. Like for me, I've never really been interested in moving to Asia. Like I've been interested in going to visit, like to see Japan, South Korea, and
Hmm.
all that, but not really to move there because one of the things that really so we've always wanted to move to Africa, right? Back to the continent. But what really accelerated our desire to move with was the pandemic, right? With
Yeah.
the murder of George Floyd, and everybody was at home, and all these senseless acts of racism. Everything was boiling, and it was like, what do you do? It's not like you want to give up and run away. I don't see it that way. I just see it as self-preservation, as a way to protect yourself, protect your family. And those are not the only reasons, but that's a major reason why. It's not the main reason because we already wanted and already planned to leave before the pandemic. And so these things just accelerated things because, it's just tiring. It's just tiring. But just like you, wanting to be part of the majority as Black people, I think that would be great to experience that because I personally have never experienced that because I grew up in Morocco and there's not a lot of Black people there. And yeah, change, sorry, to be able to be part of the majority, be in a more multicultural environment
Yeah.
as well, and just to change something different because we can live anywhere because our my husband and I businesses are remote technically, so why not? We're like the kids are still small. It's
Yeah.
not like they're going to miss out on prom or they're going to miss out on taking their driver's license or anything like that. It's more like why not? We can,
Yeah.
so why not? Let's just as a change, right? So those
Honestly, even
were
those things that you're saying, I was having a conversation with when Picky Girls travels the World Channel, and she was talking about when she left with her daughter was in high school, because those were the things I was thinking too, like, oh, what about prom and homecoming and organized sports and all those
yeah,
typical traditions, those coming of age traditions that sometimes we're really, that's not even what they want. We think that's what they need. Like, we're it's like an agenda that we want for them. Like, oh, I don't want them to miss out on prom, or oh, I don't want them
yeah,
to miss out on this. But all the things that they're saying yes to, that they would
exactly.
not have back home in the States. And so I think sometimes we
Exactly.
kind of like push our ideas of what they should have, or onto our kids, but my kids don't even realize it. And I mean, I do have younger kids. My oldest one is 9, but I think even with the parents that I've met here with high schoolers and middle schoolers, it's never too late to go. You meet people here
Yeah.
who moved to Dubai and their daughters in their junior year and they love it. They love it.
Yes. Yes. And it's funny because there are certain, I would say, American traditions, like you when you mentioned organized sports. It's funny because I mean there are international schools all around the world, and this is an
Hmm.
experience that I had growing up in Morocco, and so I went to a French school. And sometimes we would go, so the international schools would meet, have sports tournament, right? We will play against the American school, against the Spanish school. And I will always remember when we would go to the American school, it was just like being in America. It was just like in the movies. I had never been in America before, but it was like going, seeing a sitcom. Like they had the lockers and they had the grass, and they had, it was like being in the movie Grease. Like for me, it was like, oh, this is awesome. It's like being in America. So it's like that American quote unquote experience. You can still
Hmm.
have it outside of America because
Yeah.
more than likely you're going to have your kids in an international school if you choose to do that. And like you said, there are a lot more gains than things that they're missing out on. So at the end of the day, when you balance both and you compare what you're gaining um, in comparison to what you might be missing out on, the gains are much, much better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's those are great thoughts. Great, great thoughts. Thank you guys for posting comments. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. We have me myself is saying that he's originally from Cameroon, going back in September. Yay! And seriously looking into relocating in the near future. Okay, so you're going back in September to visit, right? Visit family, prepare, and then going back soon. I love it. Didn't realize that it was so close. That Honduras was so close to
Honduras
Atlanta,
is
right?
when I tell people that the flight's like 2.5 hours, they're always like, "What? Where is it?" Like it's south. Just go straight south, and you run right into Honduras.
This is like closer than going to New York.
Yeah, it's way closer than flying to New York. Another thing that's great, I think, why we chose Honduras over. Well, I would personally never want to go back to Argentina. However, I
Okay.
do remember when I was in Argentina, it was so hard to get anywhere else outside of Argentina because it's
Really?
humongous. But being in Honduras, you can go visit some really cool parts in Central America, whether you go to El Salvador, Nicaragua, go to some of the islands. Like you are
Yes.
so close that you can drive to Guatemala. Like you can drive
Wow.
to El Salvador, you can drive to Nicaragua, and in a few hours. And I
That's
feel like
very
Central
convenient.
America especially has so much culture. There's so much
Mm,
culture because Honduras is not a tourist spot. I mean, Roatan, the islands are, but there's
yeah.
not. It's not driven by tourism. And
Yeah.
so Central America, I love going to Central America because it really feels like sometimes I'm in another world.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. I love that. That's a great point. All right. Thank you for being here, Mokamonti. Yes, last night was really, really informative. And Chinwe is
That's
here
my
as
auntie.
well.
Hey, auntie.
Hi, Auntie. All right, let's move on to the. Did I answer the question? Yes, I did. I think I answered the question. So, why Africa? Because Africa is home for us. My husband is originally from Cameroon. I'm originally from the Congo, but we are not. But we're picking Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire. So, there we go. Why Cote d'Ivoire? Because we really want a francophone country. That's something I'm insisting on. So I'm not really interested in going to Kenya or Ghana. For me, it would be the top three would either be Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, and Cameroon. Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire, I would say economic development are similar. I think Cote d'Ivoire leads the way depending on the industry. And because I have friends there, so that's a big advantage as well. But I really love the culture. So yeah, that was an easy yes. Yes, Eunice is beautiful and highly
Sorry.
intelligent. Yes, indeed. All right. Are we ready for the next question?
We're ready.
Number four, talking about the money. How far does the dollar go? This is a great, great, great question.
Yeah. Um, do you want to start or you want me to
Sure,
start?
I did start. So I did a video on I made a point of going to the local market, open market, and I also go to the supermarket, regular supermarket, where we would technically go, right, when we move there, and just to compare prices. So I am in the team of go with the open market, locally grown food as much as possible because it's
Mm-hmm.
cheaper and it's yummier. It is better for your health. It's all organic and all of that. Obviously, for certain things, you will have to go to supermarket for certain canned goods or things like that, right? And when you compare the prices with the prices here, anything, it was very comparable, surprisingly. It wasn't like it was a bag of pasta, it was the same price as a bag of pasta here in Houston. It wasn't like half the price or anything like that. So in the supermarket, the prices were very, very comparable. Sometimes a little more expensive because sizes and portions are smaller because they're European sizes, and American sizes, I think only in America sizes are like jumbo size. Like you don't have the little deodorant, you have the deodorant, just like milk. You have the big gallon of milk and not like a little carton of milk, right? So I would say because of sizes, I would say certain goods were a little more expensive because they were imported goods. So pasta, cookies, organic cookies or things like that that you would want and that were not produced locally. Um, on the other hand, restaurants, for example, you have something for every budget. You have very affordable food where you can eat really, really well for the equivalent of $5, and you have your drink, you'll have everything, you'll be full, and you can have similar meal and pay $20 for it. So it really depends on where you go. You just have to find those places where you can eat for more affordable because we're a family of six and I don't intend to go to a restaurant every single day, right? So in terms of food and that budget, I would say overall it's more affordable than living here in Texas. Yes.
Yeah.
If you were to think about other states, because even Texas in itself is cheaper than California, New York,
Yeah.
and all of
For
that.
sure.
So the fact that it's even cheaper than Texas, it's a big plus,
Yeah.
definitely.
Um, I would say in Latin America. In Latin America, the dollar goes far. In Central America, the dollar goes even farther. But in Honduras, the dollar goes even farther than that. So we are a family of five, and like if you're not very familiar with Honduras, it has one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Garifuna population in all of
Mhm.
Central America. So there's a million people that look like me. So that
Yeah.
means I can get black hair products, I can get black hair, I can get grease, I can find someone to braid my hair, put locks in my
Mhm.
hair. Like that is not a problem. And also having the money to have those things now, like it is
Yeah.
amazing because I feel like in the States to fill up a basket of groceries that will only last my family a week cost us $500 or just something crazy.
Yeah.
But here everything is so cheap. So I actually have two videos on my channel that does a comparison for groceries and a comparison for day to day. But just to give you an example, I'm going to be real transparent with you guys. We are a
Mhm.
family of five. I bring in about $1,000 a month. My husband probably brings in about $1,500 a month. And this year we were able to save like $10,000, pay off for credit cards. We have a maid, a living maid that is a
Wow.
chef. She's a nanny. She's like Jeffrey, except Latina at
Yeah.
our house. And we overpay her. And I'm always like, oh my gosh, look, we
Wow.
should pay her more. But we overpay her at $200 a month. And she does everything for a family
Yeah.
of five, like cooking, she cooks all of our breakfasts, all of our lunches, our dinners. She washes our clothes. She folds the clothes. She cleans the bathroom. She mops. She sweeps. She
Woo,
does
woo.
every single thing in the house. And I'm converting everything into dollars, but we pay everything with
Yeah.
lempiras. The only thing that's going to get pricey here is if you buy name brand things. So if you go to the
Yeah.
store and you're like, I want to buy Tide detergent, you're going to pay $60 for Tide detergent. If you want to buy Fruit Loops instead of their Fruity O's, you're gonna pay for it to say Fruit Loops or Quaker Oats. Those things are so expensive. But I would
Right,
say if
right.
you're a single person coming to Honduras, there are houses, 2-bedroom houses that go for like $200 a month.
Ooh. Oh
So
my
two
gosh.
bedroom, one bath, all utilities included, $200 a month. There's no reason why you cannot live off of $8 an hour here,
That's amazing.
and
That is
while living
amazing.
a life of luxury too, not just like a regular like paying my
Wow.
bills life. Like the dollar goes very very far here.
Yeah. And this is a very great point because I don't know about Latin America, like Central America or South America, but I know that in Africa it really depends. There's a wide variety. It depends on where you go. Because for example, in Morocco, your dollar is going to stretch really, really far. However, in countries like Cote d'Ivoire, even the Congo and Senegal, like rent for example is really really expensive if you go to the capital city. Like for example,
Hmm.
it will not be it will not be a big difference in terms of rent. Can you imagine, like here for a mortgage we can pay $2,400 a month, and you could find something at $2,000 and you'll be like, okay, is that it, right?
Yeah,
That's just how it is. But
no, like in Honduras, like if you spend like I want to say, so luckily I work at international school, so our house is paid by the school. But if I were to come to
yeah,
Honduras, we have a 4-bed, 5-bathroom house with a patio, a pool. It's probably 3,000 square feet. That's like $1,200.
yeah,
Twelve
yeah.
hundred dollars in Atlanta is not going to get you
Y-
anything. And I live in one of the best neighborhoods in San Pedro Sula. So
you yeah.
your dollar here goes. So you could live off of. I think a family of 5 could probably live off of $1,500, $800 a month, depending on what you wanted to do. Because I'm the
Yeah,
opposite. I'm like, I worked very hard in the states, and I still work, but I couldn't do anything. It's like you work 90 hours a week,
right.
and you still live in poverty. Like,
I,
like
I hear
you're
you.
wondering
I
if you
hear
order
you.
pizza tonight. Here, my kids, we go
Yep.
out and eat sushi. We go out to steakhouses. We go to Chuck E. Cheese every weekend. We just saw
I
Guardians of
saw
the
the video.
Galaxy in 3D at the movie theaters where like they bring
Yeah,
you food. Like it's just ridiculously inexpensive if you are making dollars but paying
right.
everything in lempiras.
And that's the key. That's the key. Wherever you go, this is something that I always advocate for, to get paid in American dollars. So some of your options include having your own online business, or maybe
Mhm.
having a remote job, or even a local job, but that will pay you um, a salary that is not like equivalent of to a local salary. That way, your money is going to stretch a lot further. We have a few people who have joined us. Okay, right here we have a comment saying, "Hi, ladies. I did not know much about South America. I am realizing with you that it is as Africa. It is wonderful. I think I'm definitely back in Africa soon. I cannot wait. And you need to tell me about your experience as well. Working on it. There we go. Working on it. Working on it. I'm learning so much about Honduras, right?
Yay, I'm
I
winning
love
them over.
Honduras.
Latin American. It's hot here though,
It's so
y'all. I
good.
have this little rag because it is so hot and the AC is not working today. So it's hot in
It's
Honduras.
fine. It, it's okay. We like the heat. Hi, Florence. I'm in Long Beach, California, and I know this young woman's mother. You know Florence?
Hey, Florence.
All right. Well, Honduras is quite inexpensive. Yes, right? I'm like, and that's the thing. It's like in a lot of it really depends on the lifestyle you're gonna have. In a city like Abidjan, for example, it is very expensive overall to live.
Hmm.
It's if you compare it to New York, obviously half the price if you want. However, if you compare it to other cities like in the interior or even countries like Honduras, for example, then it's ridiculously expensive to live in Abidjan. I'm not gonna lie. But there are things that you can, like rent can be very expensive, but just like you mentioned, having a staff, having a driver, having a nanny, full time, all of these things are ridiculously affordable. getting your hair braided. Like I braided my hair for like $10. All these things that are super expensive in the US are
Mhm.
ridiculously more affordable in Honduras as well as in Cote d'Ivoire. So those
Mhm.
are, again, you're going to have to look at where you have to spend more, where you're going to have to sacrifice a little more, and where you're gaining a lot more. Okay. All right, we have another comment here. Keep up the good work. You are doing great. You're doing there in Honduras. I wish you and your family. This is nice. All right, and I'm going to remind everybody of Jocelyn's channel. This, I'm going to put it here in the chat, and you have it also on her banner. It's Minerves on the Move. All right, let's get our next question here. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum. Question 6. I think we covered that a little bit.
Yeah, I think we
How did
covered
you
on it
decide
a
on
little
the
bit.
country? We covered that already, right?
We did, but I also want to say that obviously I decided on Honduras for the convenience, but
Mhm.
for those who haven't decided on a country, I'm always saying don't make any assumptions. So don't.
Mm,
That's one thing that is I chose Honduras, but when I chose Honduras, I made a lot of assumptions. Some of those things are right. I made a lot of assumptions that I would be able to blend in with the people here, and people would think I was from Honduras. That happens all the time.
yeah,
I also assumed that there'd be like you were saying in Cameroon that you can go to like these fresh markets and get vegetables and fruits and things like that. Honduras, not the same. It's not the same. If you're in the countryside, so in the country part of Honduras, let's say you're in La Esperanza or Judigalpa, but if you are in a modern city like San Pedro Sula, it is going to be harder. There's not
yeah.
like farmer markets everywhere. I assumed that I would be eating all these fresh fruits and vegetables, but I'm eating a lot of meat and rice and tortillas, you guys. I'm eating a lot of meat and rice and
That's good
tortillas.
too. That's nice. We have a shout
Hey,
out here
cousin.
from
That's my cousin
Keisha.
Keisha. Hey.
We also have Connie here.
Hey,
You look like
Auntie.
your Aunt
My other
Kiki.
cousin.
And Connie saying, found out my paternal side is from Belize. Ooh, that's amazing. Are you going to visit? Are you adding that to your list of places you could move to, Miss Connie? Let us know. All right. So, oops, here we go. Ta-da! Still getting used to the whole StreamYard thing. Okay, so how did you decide on the country? So for us, like I said, I did a whole video on the criteria. So language, I wanted French speaking because I wanted our kids to be able to learn French. It's a little tough to teach them because I'm fluent in French. My husband understands; he speaks French as well. So I really wanted them to be able to be immersed in an environment where they can learn a new language. That's how I grew up learning different languages. I wanted them to have the same experience. Um, Black majority, that's something that I also wanted. I wanted a growing economy, like a very dynamic economy. So I didn't feel like the Congo was the right place for us to go based on that.
Yeah.
It had the first two, but not the third one. So I wanted more of an emerging economy more than, you know, quote unquote developing. Um, I wanted, yes, and based on the business that I have to, I mean, I do social media marketing. I wanted to go to a place where I didn't have to explain to people what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, and also Cameroon, it's to some extent, but mostly Cote d'Ivoire, they know what content marketing is. They know what a community manager is. They know what I do. And if I were to do that in French, which I kind of started doing it in French and dabble on that a little bit, it's an easy transition because so I can operate my business in English with my American audience, but I can also operate easily infiltrate the French speaking market with no major effort. So that's another big reason too. and obviously connections and relationships that we have there. So, yep, yep, yep. All right. We have our last question here. Question number
Woo!
3. And this is very, very important because I really love that we selected this question because a lot of the people that we see online on YouTube who move abroad just should be, let's just be real. Most of them are single women
Yeah, they
or
are
single
single,
men.
and
But
they're
it's
travel vloggers. They just get up and go everywhere for every 3 months.
hey guys, I quit my job and I just booked my one-way ticket. I love it. I'll be the first one to clap for you. However, we're not really in the same situation. So I'm really happy for you, but I'm like, okay, where are the families doing it? The people who have one kid or 2 kids, or and that's why that I love about Jocelyn is that she doesn't just have a child, she has small kids, like same age as my kids. So it's like, what are the realities of moving with a family, the logistics, the fear, all of these things. um, it's different. It's definitely different. So, how family
Yeah.
friendly is Honduras?
Um, Honduras is ridiculously family friendly. That was something that I was not expecting. I wasn't expecting it to be, you know, to be fair, the other places that I lived in Latin America, I didn't have children, so I guess I wasn't looking for those spaces. But
Mhm.
even in not looking for those spaces here in Honduras, we have so many family friendly places, whether they're specifically for kids. So let's say like a Chuck E. Cheese or a Planet Jump or something like that. We have those things, but the thing that I love most about Honduras is majority of restaurants, whether it's a fast food restaurant like Popeyes, Churches, or a chain restaurant like Denny's, because we have those restaurants here, or just a regular restaurant that's just not a chain, there is always a place for kids to play, which is
Mm.
so nice to be like, I'm at a really fancy steakhouse. It's beautiful. It's lit up with the stream of white lights, and there's somebody playing piano, and then all the kids are over there on the slide in the jungle gym, and they're all screaming and running around. So it's so great that there's even at the grocery store, which I haven't done this yet, but the first time we walked into the grocery store, the guards
Mhm.
saw me shopping because in Latin America there are going to be guards. They carry guns, and it's to
Mhm.
protect people. Like I actually feel very safe. They were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, why are you grocery shopping with the kids? Just let them go over there and play."
Ooh.
Mama Bear Mo was like, "They can play after I grocery shop. I'm not just gonna wander around the whole store." But you will see at the front of the grocery store, there's like a carousel, or the
Yes.
rides, like it just goes back and forth like a horse and cars, and they're all
Mhm.
free. You don't have to pay for any of the stuff. It's just free at the grocery store, and everyone's just playing on it while all the moms are going around grocery shopping. So I feel like it's very. And then when you go to the countryside, it's the same thing. Is you see kids. Honestly, I felt unsafe because of my American mentality. In the States, we're all like, "Oh, you can't trust these people. You got to watch your kids. Like, you kids don't."
Yes.
It's not back in the day when I was a kid where everyone was put out and play. Like, you have to watch
Yeah.
children. But here, it's like all the kids are just playing, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing? Come on in!" Like, it's ridiculously family friendly. Like the culture of the people, the way restaurants are set up, like everything is so family friendly. Um,
Yeah.
and I also think they have a big mentality of like, I forgot what like the expression is, like we're all in it together. Like the village takes a village to
Yeah. It
raise it.
takes a village to raise
Like,
a kid.
yeah, like it's a village mentality. Like everyone is
Yeah.
looking out for the kids. Um, there's also even like we try to sell. This is a funny story. So I don't know if there's any Daddy Yankee fans. Is anybody who's watching is a Daddy Yankee fan? I don't know. So I actually am a Daddy Yankee fan. I'm not ashamed, y'all. I'm a Daddy Yankee fan,
All
and my son is
right.
a Yankee fan. And he had his last tour. His world tour was this. His last world tour just passed. It was last year. It was called La Última, which means the final. And so I was like, oh
Okay.
my God, we can go see Daddy Yankee in Latin America, in Honduras, which I haven't been to a concert in years in the States, because I'm like, people are crazy. Like, you shoot up a parade, they'll shoot up a concert. I don't like to go
Right.
to big crowds in the States.
Yeah.
So we went to a Daddy Yankee concert in Honduras. It was like a million people. Like, it was
Wow.
so crowded. And we get to the front line, and I had already bought the tickets, and there was no turning back. And they're like, "Oh, sorry, you can't have kids above the age of or under the age of like 10." And my son's 8,
Oh.
so we had to maneuver
Oh man.
all this stuff to get him in. Like we were like, playing the no hablo, no hablo español. There's for admitting this, but like I had to maneuver like, oh, I don't understand. No, no hablo español. Like we did get him in, but I was just like, oh my gosh, you can't just bring kids into certain concerts or certain movies and they can't listen to certain music. Like they will not allow children to do certain things here. Like children can
Wow.
still be children here, which is
Yes.
really not.
I love that. I love that. I think that, in the West, societies are very individualistic, right? In Europe, Western Europe, in the US, it's everybody to themselves, right? And you raise your kid. I don't have the right to talk to your child or to help you raise your child or to say anything to your child, let
Yeah.
alone reprimand your child. But in Latin America, just like in Africa in general, it's very community based where we are counting on other people, on the neighbors to actually tell us, hey, what did my kid do? Or keep an eye on my child. And it's okay for my child to go to your house and for your child to come to my house. It's like it's an open door policy. And so when we went there with my husband to Cote d'Ivoire, it was so just my husband's experience growing up is definitely that. It's like
Mhm.
it's it's super community based. It's like the community does everything, whether it's family or friends or extended family. We grow as a community, and I see it even here in the U.S. within the communities, like the pockets of Cameroonians or other nationalities, and it's like it's that same mentality that we are bringing here into the US in when we have meetings and things like that, because that's just how it is. It's like it's a community based way of living. And that's something that I really love. That's something that I really want for my kids to have.
Yeah.
Sure, we live in the suburbs and they have their friends and all of that, but it's not like I don't feel comfortable telling my neighbor's kid um, something because they might
Yeah,
take
she
it
might cuss you
wrong.
out. Don't talk too
Yeah,
much.
exactly. I don't know what kind of boundaries we have, right? But over there, it's more like I trust them to
Mhm.
know what to tell my kid. I trust
Mhm.
them to know, to have my kid's best interest, just like they would for their own child. And just like in Honduras as well, I've seen a lot of kid-friendly areas as well, parks, water parks, or any kind of environment where it's just for kids, and that was very reassuring and very interesting to see. But one thing that you mentioned that I wanted to add is that it's funny because you mentioned a lot of American businesses like Denny's, Chuck E. Cheese, all of
All
that.
that's
And
here.
Honduras seemed to be very quote unquote Americanized, but at the same time, the negative image
Mhm.
that Americans have about it is like we're going to make money there, like big corporations are going to make money off of it, but we're still going to tarnish their image. We're still going to say that it's so unsafe. I mean, if
Yeah.
it was so unsafe, corporations wouldn't be there.
They're here though. The corporations are here. I saw an
Really?
Herbalife store here, and I was like, they have Herbalife in Honduras. Like there is an Herbalife here, and a big
Wow.
part of that is because of the Chiquita fruit company. It's not
Okay.
Dole or Chiquita. It's just like a banana thing on her head.
Yes.
They were based here for so long, and a lot of American expats came here, and there's been so many things that they've invested into the country. Now,
Mm.
do I agree with all those things? No, there are some things that I feel like could have. I feel like if you come to a country, you have to also remember that you are a guest in the country and also integrate and
Yes.
respect the culture. But like you said,
Exactly.
there are plenty of people who come here and they take advantage of the resources. I mean, you see it in the black community back home. Like people come to our communities, buy up everything or steal everything, and then drive us out of the neighborhood, and then that's when they fix the streets and better the schools. And
Of course.
so you can see it happening here in some places, which is
Yeah.
not which is a sad thing. It's a sad thing. And
It
but
is.
not just expats, but even the government themselves seizing land that's been owned by garifunas for centuries.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And talking about land and what foreigners can do, Auntie has a question. She's asking, can foreigners buy land in Honduras?
So
That's a great
they
question.
can. Um, I was actually searching this question just today. Not that I'm going to go buy land in Honduras today, but
I just never know.
you can buy property in Honduras. There's mortgage loans that you can go through here. You can buy cash. But one of the great things about Honduras is that they have extremely low taxes. So they have extremely low taxes for foreigners, depending on how you're paying it.
Hmm.
Also, again, the dollar goes far.
Yes.
You know, if you were to take the equity out of a home you own and you had cash and said, I have $150,000, you're buying a whole house with a ton of land. You know,
Yeah.
you can buy houses on the beach, property right on the beach. You can buy property on the islands, it's going to be definitely dollars. It's going to be American prices. But as far as in the mainland, you can literally be right by a waterfall if you wanted to, not too
Yeah.
far from Sac or some really fun places.
Mhm. That's good to know. Yeah, same thing in Cote d'Ivoire as well. Foreigners can also buy land with no issues as well. Okay, we have a very sweet comment here from Keisha. Continue to follow your dreams, baby cousin. You have always been so smart.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, 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 you did. All right, guys, if you have any questions for us, because we ran out of our questions, we answered all our 10 questions.
Yay!
We
I actually
we
had a
understood
question.
the assignments. You still have a
I had a
question? Go
question.
ahead.
Yeah, someone had asked this yesterday on my channel and we didn't get to it. And
Okay.
I can't believe we didn't have it in our top 10 questions. But what is healthcare like
Ooh,
in Cameroon
very good.
or where,
Very.
you know, I guess in both countries that you're looking at, Cameroon and
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
How
so I'm going to
do
speak
you
from
pronounce it?
Cote d'Ivoire.
Cote
I say
d'Ivoire.
it fast.
I, I don't want to say
Slowly,
Ivory Coast. Cote d'Ivoire.
Cote d'Ivoire.
Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire.
Yes, Cote d'Ivoire. So fast is Cote d'Ivoire. But yes, Cote d'Ivoire. Yeah, so the healthcare system is better in Cote d'Ivoire than in Cameroon. That's just how it is. Um, you would have, so there are some private clinics that are okay, but you would, from the perspective of an expat, somebody coming from America and all of that, I would say go with the private route. So there are excellent private clinics with care for from pediatrician to specialists and all of that. So I've already selected the ones that we would go with and asked my friends on the ground what are their thoughts about that, and that's the one that they also recommend. So yes, very good private care, definitely.
Well, it's the same in Honduras. It's
Hmm.
we would not go to the public hospital. We would go to the private hospital. And my daughter, she actually has epilepsy, so we see a neurologist,
Okay.
which would cost us thousands and thousands of dollars to get, even with insurance back home. But
Hmm.
here we go see the neurologist. She gets an MRI. We might spend $80, which
Wow.
getting an MRI done in the States is like thousands, I think, if hundreds or thousands.
That's amazing. And you know, one thing that I always, so initially, whenever I was thinking about moving abroad, that was my one of my fears, healthcare. How are we going to do? What if we get sick? And then I realized, okay, you know, once you have these unrealistic, but I will say legitimate thoughts and fears, and then when you really sit down and think about it, and you're like, if there's a big American or foreign presence in that city, rest assured there's good health care. All the
Mm.
staff in the embassy, they're going somewhere. They're not going to fly to the US as soon as they, if they need something, right? If there's a big American or any other foreign nationality, if there's a big presence there, that means that there is appropriate care for
Mm.
that staff. So you just have to do your research. Look, more than likely, it's going to be private clinics, but it is available. You just need to ask around, definitely.
Yeah.
Uh oh, is she still? Yes, for a minute. Okay, here we go. You can still see me, right?
Yeah, we can see you.
Here we go. What a blessing indeed. What a blessing indeed to have an MRI for that cost, right? Can you imagine if you had to pay out of pocket here in the US?
Yeah, it would be horrible.
Probably thousands. for sure.
Yep, without.
All right, guys. Any questions that you have for us before we sign out? I really want to thank you all for coming here live, whether you're live or you're watching this on the replay. You can still ask your questions in the chat or in the comments, and then I will share them with Jocelyn and we can answer those at a different time. But I really wanted to thank you for taking the time out of your Thursday evening to spend it with us and to learn more
Yay.
about moving to Latin America and moving to Africa. Hopefully you chose Team Africa.
What?
I'm kidding.
I think I sold them on Honduras and the dollar going so far.
Right? I mean, yeah, that one is a big. But however, to my defense, I'm gonna say if you don't pick a capital city, your dollar is gonna go really really far as well.
So
So
far.
yeah, but thank you so much, Jocelyn, for being part of this wonderful series that we did with part one and part two today. If you haven't watched part one, I encourage you to go to Jocelyn's channel is Minerves on the Move. Make sure you subscribe. She has fantastic videos about her life in Honduras with her family. If you want to see a family perspective, how it's like to deal with work and schedules and being locked out of the house, all of these
Oh, you
things,
saw that when we were locked up the house?
and
Oh,
sitting
it's
on
so hard that
sidewalks,
they do.
all of these things, very realistic view of how it's like to actually live there, then definitely subscribe to her channel, follow her videos, and show her some love. We have a comment here saying, thank you, ladies. Yes, I shall keep you informed. Believe me, it is wonderful to watch the kids switch from one language to another. This is my would be my purest joy because I'm
Yeah.
teaching them. The funny thing is that when they were smaller, they were not really interested in learning. But now they're the ones asking me, "Hey, mom, how do you say this in French? How do you say this in French?" So I'm teaching them,
That's so
but
great.
there's nothing easier than being immersed and having friends who only speak French or only
Yeah.
speak Spanish. And just like your kids, right, Jocelyn, they're fluent now.
Yeah, my youngest is definitely fluent. If you are a Spanish speaker, I have a story where one day I was telling him to go with his sister, and I was like, "Vaya con tu niño or con tu hermano," and he goes, "Hermano, no, hermana," because oh, it's boy, it's an A, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're right." I'm like, "Where'd you get this Spanish accent? How are you correcting me?"
Right? He's correcting you.
Yeah.
That's just amazing. That is amazing. But yeah, thank you so much, Jocelyn, for being part of this series.
This was so great. Thanks for having me on your channel. Like it has been wonderful. I love how we met. We were able to connect online. I really feel like one day we will connect in person, our families.
Yes.
We
Oh,
probably
can
will
you
be in
imagine our
Africa
kids playing
at
together?
that point.
It's going to be in Dakar. Let's say it.
Yeah, she's told me, you guys. Oh man. But thank you so much.
Yes.
And for those who are here for my channel, please make sure that you like this video and subscribe so we can get our channels pushed out into the algorithm and more people can know
Yes,
about
indeed.
living abroad in Africa and Latin America. It's been so great to have everyone here and just to be here myself.
Yes. On that note, everybody, thank you so much. Make sure you share the video to your family and friends. Make sure you subscribe to our respective channels. Until next time, bye.
Good night, everyone.